Merry meet, blessed be. Depending on the path you're on, I'm Aidan Odinson, High Priest of the Temple of Gaia, and the guy you hear on The Secrets in Plain Sight and Uriel's Gifts, or Bishop Cal Lippitt of Church Back Home. Either way, welcome to the Revived in a very different pastor's study. And this is a bridge between the two. And we need bridges. So many people are so busy building up walls. And the fact of the matter is, religious disputes are like two siblings arguing over who has the better parents. That's the best way I can describe it. And how can I say this, and where do I come from that puts me in a position to say this? Well, I started out as a Christian, and I got driven away by the people and what they were teaching me of the particular denominations that I was involved with at the time. I heard enough about God's will to wonder if I should get a restraining order against it. I heard enough about God's time to wonder about that. I heard enough about God's higher plan to wonder what he had to be high on to make such a plan. And so I started exploring, and I found Wicca. And especially among the Norse, my mother's ancestors. A sense of honor. A sense of trust. And I wanted to explore further, and found myself under the wing of a wonderful Gnostic bishop who also was a Wiccan high priest, and I'm not sure what else. I do know he could sure pass for a rabbi. Could have. Jerome Birnbaum. He died a few years ago, and I miss him, but his training was the training that I point to as my main training because of all the doors that he managed to open for me. Yes, I was already a high priest among the Wiccan, but from him I found so many more doors, including doors that led back to the path that I had been on. And there were some other revelations. In the Air Force, we had a saying, RTFQ, which we nicely said meant read the full question, which was a correct way of saying it. Yeah, read the full question. How many times in Christian scriptures do people read one thing and not read the other part? Or read one thing and don't understand what it's saying? Yes, in Exodus there's a place that says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Before me. Wanted top billing. Furthermore, that was a covenant between El Shaddai and the 12 tribes of Israel. To my knowledge, my ancestors were not among them. And certainly I never received a bar mitzvah, or even the training for a bar mitzvah. But he wanted top billing, not an exclusive. He just didn't want anybody else put ahead of him. And then, no man cometh unto the Father but by me, but by him in what aspect? We all have aspects. You've seen a couple of my aspects. In addition to that, I'm a husband. In addition to that, I'm a father. In addition to that, to 2 dogs and a few cats, I'm daddy. In addition to that, I have a day job where I deal with software. And in addition to that, I'm a retired reserve captain in the U.S. Air Force. When I was on active duty, there were certain circumstances in which I would walk into a room and people would get up on their feet. That doesn't happen for me now, because nobody looks at me as a captain anymore, except a few clerks when they come by a dusty file cabinet at a file cabinet somewhere where they maintain my records. I have a son and a daughter who are entitled to call me Dad. I'd better not be addressed by somebody else. I know what I did say to somebody when he called me Pop. I also know that when I come home from work, I sometimes say to Lady Stormy, "Hi, darling, how was your day?" And it's perfectly okay for me to say to her, "Hi, darling," because she's my wife and I love her, and she's my wife, I'm her husband. If I were to go to my day job and say that to a coworker, there would probably be a meeting about it. And justifiably so. We have aspects. And how does that fit in? As I said, there are parts of, and this isn't just the Christian Bible, it happens with others. Talk about John 3:16. People talk about John 3:16 all the time. That football player Tebow, when he makes up his face, he writes John 3:16 on his eye makeup. I saw a picture of it. A big deal. Everybody knows what John 3:16 is, but how about John 10:16? Close neighbor. I have sheep which are not of this fold. He doesn't say how many sheep, he doesn't say how many folds, he doesn't say where they are. Just says that they're not here. He has others, but they're not there. What does that mean? It does mean that he's got others. And I think we better respect them. Because I'm not going to say who I think they are and are not. Because I don't know, and I know better than to claim I know. And I pity the people who try to claim they know who those sheep of another fold are. And then add to that a warning, a very stern warning. Matthew 12:31 now, the lead into that is where Jesus was casting out devils, and some Pharisees accused him of using devils to cast out devils, using the devil to cast out devils. And so many of us, especially those who have studied the American Civil War, will hear people talk about how a house divided against itself cannot stand. But 12:31 just comes a little bit after that, where he speaks of how all sins and blasphemies of men will be forgiven, except one. And that tells me that, yes, we've got to be concerned. Somebody who claims that another path is of the devil might be in danger if they happen to be saying that against sheep of one of those other folds. And that gives us a couple of responsibilities. Number one, we've got to learn to respect each other. And number two, we have to learn not to burn our own bridges behind us. Why? Because you're talking about a bridge to where you once found comfort, where you once gained your strength. And you might find something there still. And it might be actually of the same Father, Mother, Creator, God. Because we don't know. We don't know how many aspects, even the most rabid fundamentalist will generally acknowledge that the divine is infinite. Well, if the divine is infinite, then all we know is one small part of one small corner. And we have to respect the rest now, don't we? And so we have bridges. And I'm trying to build some. And I hope they help. Especially any of you who felt isolated or abandoned in the past. Mary Part, blessed be. This has been a presentation of the Wise Ones Net. Mary Part, and blessed be.